Hello fellas, welcome to the Reddit Guy channel. I have got some more interesting stories for you today. Let's enjoy the stories. Story 1. Am I the asshole for confronting my girlfriend when I realized she took credit for something she didn't really do? So, a couple of days ago, my girlfriend and I were celebrating something, and she told me she made me chocolates as a gift. She was super excited about it, saying she spent hours on them. She works a small waitress job, so she does not have a ton of money. I did not mind her spending less compared to what I got her. I thought it was sweet that she tried. I did not even know she knew how to make sweets, because she always says she can barely cook. Anyway, I asked her how she learned how to make them. That's when I found out she just melted pre-made chocolate and poured it into molds. She did not make any of the fillings herself either. She bought store caramel, fruit spread, and other things. Literally all of it was pre-made. She barely put in any effort at all, and then she was proud of herself. Usually I try to let things go because she's sensitive to criticism, but it really irritated me that she tricked me like that, so I called her out for lying about it. She got upset and said she did make them because she put in so much effort. Halfway through arguing about whether it's okay to lie to me or not, she started texting someone and said she didn't want to argue anymore. She ended up getting her sister to come pick her up, and she's been staying with her instead of me for the past 2 days. Her sister called me a jerk on her way out, which makes me think my girlfriend lied to her too about making them. Otherwise, I don't know why she would be mad at me. At first, I was sure I was right, but maybe I need to be more forgiving. At the end of the day, I know she's not a great cook. Maybe I should have expected it not to be fully from scratch. She's usually really sweet and texts me a lot, but she hasn't been talking to me much the past couple of days. I'm starting to feel like maybe I overreacted. Edit for clarity. A lot of you are upset about the way I talk, so I want to address that. She knows I call her my girl. She calls me her dude. She calls it a little waitress job too because it's basically a side gig. How I talk is not the problem here, and I think it's strange that people are focusing on that. Some people said my age and what I got her matters. I'm 32 and I got her some old figurines she collects. Also, some of you seem to think she put a lot more effort into this than it sounded like she did from her explanation. I see people talking about thermometers and how hard it is to temper chocolate, but she literally used the microwave to melt it. She doesn't even own a kitchen thermometer, so I doubt she used one. Maybe everyone is misunderstanding when I say she has very little cooking experience and did not seem to put much effort into these. She literally melted chocolate in the microwave, poured it into molds, and added store-bought fillings. That does not sound like what you're describing as homemade chocolates. Some people suggested I try making my own to see how hard it is. I might do that because what you're describing actually sounds hard, unlike what she did with the microwave. Update. A lot of you were dramatic. I really could not take most of the comments seriously. I still think homemade chocolates implies that every part is homemade, but clearly most people use the word homemade loosely, so I don't think it's really her fault for using that word. I decided to apologize since it's clear she did not intentionally mislead me. I also chose not to make chocolates myself because I don't care to be in the kitchen much. Instead, I posted a picture of the ones she made and asked for feedback from people who know about chocolate to see if she actually did them correctly and how hard it might be without me trying. At first, people were complimenting them. I started to think maybe I really did need to apologize for assuming she put no effort in. But then someone linked the post elsewhere, and a flood of people showed up to insult them just because I said I made them. There were comments saying they looked terrible and no effort was put in. I couldn't trust those opinions because they were clearly biased. So I decided not to mention that part to her since I couldn't get a clear answer. I texted her and asked if we could talk. She agreed. Because of how dramatic the comments were, I got nervous, so I decided to go over the top with the apology. I took her on a date to a little arts and crafts place she likes and bought her food. She apologized too for running off to her sister's place. She said she's going to take a little break from her sister because apparently her sister said some messed up things about me. Apparently, her sister called me a transphobic fleur and told my girlfriend that situations like this are why she shouldn't be a lesbian. She used it as an opportunity to criticize our lifestyle and say it's wrong. If you don't think that's bigoted, I don't know what to tell you. For the record, the comment about her having a history with lying refers to her losing her old job for lying about her contributions and taking random days off. She would still get up in the morning and act like she was going to work, so I had no idea she was about to lose her job. I had to stay on top of the bills because of that. That is why she is not working a more substantial job now. Some people say I hold resentment toward her. I do not think so. I just do not fully trust her yet. I am still learning new things about what she was doing on those days she pretended to work. I admit I jumped the gun thinking she lied on purpose about the chocolates. I apologized for accusing her of intentional lying. She accepted it. What more is there to do? Also, to the people who told me to harm myself in direct messages, you need a hobby or a job. And to those talking about the molds she used, saying inappropriate things about them, that is strange. They were just shapes, like stars and flowers. She is not dirty-minded like that. Anyway, she came home. Things settled down. Sorry to the people hoping she would end a 10-year relationship over something as silly as candy. Comments. Commenter 1. So we learned nothing? Commenter 2. Was he expecting her to grow cocoa and fruit herself so she could call it handmade? Commenter 3. Do you think he gets mad when someone makes chocolate chip cookies but did not make the chocolate chips from scratch? Reply from original poster. Purchase a field, grow your own wheat, harvest it yourself, buy a mill, produce your own flour. Dang it, I forgot to produce my own breast milk. This is my opinion about the story. This story really wasn't about chocolate. It was about trust, insecurity, and how people define effort. Sometimes when someone gives a gift, the heart behind it matters more than the technical process used to make it. And sometimes when trust has been shaken in the past, even small misunderstandings can feel bigger than they actually are. Relationships survive moments like this when both people choose humility over being right.
Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my wife she doesn't look good at her current weight? I'm 34. I know this sounds bad, but please hear me out before you call me the asshole. My wife is 33. She had our baby girl 7 months ago, and I am deeply concerned about her health. For some context, my wife has a long history with anorexia. She was hospitalized twice for her eating disorder, once in high school and once in law school. I met her in college, and I saw her go through it the second time. It was terrifying. She has told me that for her, it isn't really about weight or looking a certain way. The first time she got sick was after her mother died suddenly. Obsessing over her weight helped distract her from the pain she didn't want to deal with. Before we had our daughter, she was doing much better. She ate normally, worked out a few times a week, didn't weigh herself obsessively, and wasn't trying to lose weight. Here's the current issue. My wife decided to take a year off work to stay home with the baby. At first, I thought it was a great idea. Now I think it may have been a mistake. She's home alone all day and has all the time in the world to think about losing the baby weight. When she first said she wanted to lose the baby weight, I thought that was a normal reaction. But the weight started coming off very quickly. She is now probably 20 pounds thinner than she was before pregnancy. I've noticed strange habits. She cooks elaborate meals for me and bakes often, but refuses to eat carbs during the week and makes herself a completely different dinner. She's obsessed with fitness influencers and has started rewatching The Biggest Loser for the first time in years. A few months ago, I checked her Fitbit. She was moving at least 10 miles per day, which is insane considering she's caring for an infant. When I asked about it, she said she enjoys walking with the baby and that running on the treadmill helps relieve stress. Then she developed a stress fracture in her ankle. She sobbed when she found out she couldn't run for a few months. Since then, she seems to be compensating by eating even less. I've tried multiple times to talk to her. I've expressed concern. She insists she's just taking care of her body and that she has more time to exercise now. Whenever I suggest therapy, she says I'm being overprotective. A few weeks ago, we went to my parents' house. My mom looked shocked when she saw my wife. She pulled me aside and said she looks sick. My wife is basically skin and bones. She's cold all the time. Her fingers turn blue. Her hair is falling out. It's obvious she's not well. Last weekend was our anniversary. My parents watched the baby and we stayed downtown for a couple nights. We haven't had much intimacy since the baby arrived. My wife tried to initiate sex, but she looked so frail that I got teary. All I could think was how sick she looked. I told her she's way too skinny and needs to see a therapist because I'm worried sick. She accused me of being overprotective and said there's nothing wrong with exercising and wanting to look good after having a baby. I told her she didn't look good at her current weight and that everyone is worried about her. What I meant was that she doesn't look healthy, but that comment devastated her. She cried and said I wasn't attracted to her anymore. I begged her to tell me what was bothering her so much that she feels the need to starve herself. She responded, "Why would I tell you after you said I don't look good?" Since then, she has shut down even more. Am I the asshole for saying that? I'm worried I made things worse. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm an attorney, a mom, and a recovering anorexic married to a psychiatrist. Your wife needs hospitalization at a facility experienced with eating disorders. She is endangering herself and your daughter. She could pass out while alone or holding the baby. CPS could get involved if something happens. She may have EKG changes or organ dysfunction that need monitoring. Loop in family immediately. Eating disorders are the most fatal psychiatric disorder. Consult an attorney in case involuntary treatment is needed. There isn't time to waste. Not the asshole. Commenter 2. I'm going through something similar. It became a medical emergency. We had to do an involuntary hold. We're 3 weeks into hospitalization. Please act immediately. We're rooting for you. Commenter 3. You're not the asshole. You're desperate and you clearly love your wife. But she should not be alone with the baby right now. Not because she would harm the baby intentionally, but because she could faint. Hair loss, brittle bones, blue fingers, those are signs of severe deficiencies. If she collapses while holding the baby, the consequences could be catastrophic. This is tough love time. Someone needs to be with her whenever she's with the baby until her physical condition improves. Update. I want to thank everyone for their suggestions. After reading the comments and doing research, I realized how deadly anorexia really is. I think I had been in denial. I called my father-in-law and told him how concerned I was. He flew in that night. We sat down with my wife and expressed how worried we were. She was resistant and angry, but my father-in-law said something powerful, that it was hard for her to grow up without her mom, and none of us would ever want that for our daughter. She finally agreed to a checkup. For the first time, she admitted she had been experiencing dizziness and heart fluttering. We got her in right away. She has now been admitted to an inpatient program nearby. I'm feeling conflicting emotions. I'm relieved she's getting help. I'm devastated she's in so much pain. I'm disappointed in myself for not intervening sooner. She cried when we left because she didn't want to be away from me or our daughter. Leaving her there was awful, but it was the right decision. My mom is helping with the baby. I miss my wife terribly, but the most important thing right now is her recovery. Thank you to everyone who shared similar experiences and offered hope. It means more than you know. Final comments. Commenter 1. This ended about as well as possible. I'm glad she's getting help. Commenter 2. The Biggest Loser was an awful representation of weight loss and should never have aired. Commenter 3. It's incredibly hard when your partner won't acknowledge there's a problem. You can't just override another adult's agency. It's painful. Personal commentary. This story is heartbreaking because it shows how love sometimes means stepping in when someone can't see their own danger. Eating disorders are not about vanity. They're about pain, control, and survival. And sometimes the hardest thing you can do for someone you love is protect them when they're fighting you. Thankfully, this one ended with action, not regret, and that likely saved her life.
Story 3. Am I the asshole for telling my sister to get over being cheated on by her husband after she laughed at me and told me to get over my breakup? I am 25 years old. I have a 28-year-old sister and a 20-year-old brother. I am fairly close to both of them, but my sister and I grew up fighting a lot because she has a superiority complex and is quite entitled. She is not super in your face about it, but after enough times, you start to notice it. My sister is also married and has a 3-year-old girl, for context. Anyway, I had a boyfriend and we had been dating since we were 19. Just a few weeks ago, he decided that he was not in love with me anymore and wanted to leave. I felt super awful about it for a while and would cry over it sometimes. It did not help that it happened around my mom's 60th birthday, so emotions hit me right in the middle of us celebrating. My sister discreetly rolled her eyes and giggled when that happened. She also told me to stop killing the mood with my stupid crying and to get over it because he was just some boy. I walked away and let her be that way because all I was trying to focus on was calming myself down. Her words did not help though. We had a big family reunion and birthday celebration for my brother last weekend. I was having tons of fun, drinking and catching up with a few of my cousins who came all the way from Europe. It was chill until my sister stormed past us holding her daughter, looking red as hell in the face with angry tears. That is when the night turned to complete chaos. Yelling, crying, and just straight up craziness. My sister found out her husband was sleeping with a random coworker, and then everything just spiraled. This went on for so long that it gave me a headache. In the middle of my sister screaming at him once again, I turned to her and yelled, "Maybe you should get over it and stop killing the mood with your stupid crying." She then called me a bunch of names I cannot say here. Later on, after she made her not-so-little exit, I got all the blame. My mom and dad got on me for worsening the fight and for not letting go of the past. The night was completely ruined. The next morning, I woke up to a very long text from my sister saying how much I embarrassed her and made her feel worse because now her child would not get to see her father as often, plus a whole bunch of other things. I left it on read and started to think I actually did go a bit overboard. My parents and brother were practically begging us to make peace. I texted a long apology to my sister later that day, but she just read it and still hasn't responded. We still haven't spoken. Am I the asshole, or was it fair to be a bit mean? Edit. I was not super clear in that paragraph. My sister did not privately say what she said to me. I felt off halfway into celebrating, and when everyone else asked if I was okay, she started acting the way she did. Then I walked away. Comments. Commenter 1. Yes, you are the asshole. To be fair, she was an asshole first, and I get it. Heartbreak in any form is the absolute worst, but did you say that to her because you meant it, or because you were retaliating for what she said to you earlier? Not to discredit how you felt during your breakup, but I would much rather be broken up with than cheated on. And they were married and kids? That is destroying a whole family. Again, not discrediting how bad your breakup was, but what you did, and it sounds like she had just found out, was a total asshole move in my opinion. Reply from original poster. Truthfully, I said it to her in retaliation, which, yes, I now realize was immature. I'm obviously not impressed with him cheating. Commenter 2. Everyone sucks here. Yes, breakups hurt, but thank God you were not legally married with no kids. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster of extreme proportions. Now imagine your sister's situation. She has a kid in all this mess. I recommend clearing the air and supporting your sister. Reply from original poster.
I'm going to call her really soon because, again, we still haven't talked since. It makes sense that we're both assholes, though. Commenter 3. Information. How long was it between your breakup and your sister's breakdown? Reply from original poster. It's been about 3 weeks since the breakup and about a week since my sister found out. Update. I appreciate all the feedback I got on my original post. For the most part, it seems most people think I am the asshole regardless of my sister being awful, which is fair, honestly. We ended up having a conversation, which felt like pulling teeth trying to get her to say sorry and understand that she hurt me in the beginning. She never apologized to me before the whole thing at the gathering. I called my sister on the phone. I didn't assume she would pick up, but I was super grateful she did. I asked her how she was doing, and she was understandably still upset. She genuinely sounded sad. I apologized for the situation and told her she didn't deserve to be cheated on. A lot was said. Shockingly, she let me ramble on. I said sorry for humiliating her and explained why I did that. I told her I wanted us to just have a normal relationship for once, without all the fighting. My sister did not apologize. She said she didn't respond to my messages because she felt humiliated and hurt, not because she was angry at me. She started crying and told me I would never understand her position and that I wouldn't have liked it if it were the other way around. I told her I understood that, but in the moment, I remembered the hurtful things she said and how she wasn't there to support me but to mock me. Regardless, that still gave me no right to be cruel, and I said that more than once. I also told her I never got an apology for what she said. She responded, "Are you sure you don't just hate me or something?" I told her I didn't hate her, but she could be awful quite often. In fact, I thought she hated me. The conversation didn't really go anywhere. She eventually apologized, but it felt forced. When I asked if she truly meant it, she got snarky again. I got frustrated and said something like, "I get that our relationships weren't on the same level, and I came out more of an asshole, but I think you only care about how you feel right now." She said the conversation wasn't going anywhere and preferred we stop talking for a bit. I accepted that, wished her and my niece well, and that was it. One of my cousins later texted me saying she deserved it. I just wanted to be done with it. It is what it is. Update. Things have gotten wild. Suddenly, my cousin was attacking my sister on social media, calling her a trashy mother and saying she was glad her husband cheated. She even asked to fight. My sister blocked me. Apparently, someone in the family instigated it by telling my cousin what my sister had been saying. Now, half the family is arguing. My parents are begging my sister to make peace with me. My aunt and my mom are fighting. My sister is threatening to call the police. I told everyone I'm staying out of it. I can't tell if I started this or if it was bound to happen anyway, but I'm done. Final update. My dad called me yelling, blaming me for not sticking up for my sister. He said she's super stressed and wants to move far away. Apparently, my cousin and aunt threatened to call Child Protective Services because they thought my niece was not safe. My sister had a meltdown and threatened them back. My parents went to check on her. She said she was going to move away and never attend family events again because everyone clearly wishes she was dead. I asked if my niece was okay. That's all I care about. I told my dad this is not my problem anymore and not to speak to me until they realize that. Then I hung up. I'm staying out of it. As long as my niece is okay, I don't care about anything else. This is way too much for my mental health. Final comments. Commenter 1. I would block your parents if I were you. Reply from original poster. I swear I'm about to. Commenter 2. Put your parents in a timeout by silencing them. Reply from original poster. I'm not speaking to them, I'm only speaking to my brother and relatives who are not involved. Commenter 3. Your sister can't just move far away without custody agreements. Reply from original poster. I'm not even sure what she means by far away. This is exhausting. Personal commentary. This story shows how one retaliatory comment can ignite years of unresolved tension. Both sisters were heard, both said low blows, and neither truly felt heard. But the real lesson here is that when family drama becomes a wildfire, sometimes the healthiest move is to step back and protect your own peace. Not every fight needs a winner. Sometimes survival means walking away.
Thanks for staying to the end. If you enjoyed the stories, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more interesting Reddit stories.